In this set of videos we're going to have a look at how we can clone the ASUS website. But before we do so, we need to have a really good look at the structure of the website, at the layout of the website, so we can think ahead about how we're going to plan our HTML to make this as easy as possible. When we have a look down the website, you can see there are clear and distinct sections. In some places there are multiple columns, and we have different image effects and a clear footer down here again with multiple columns in it. So we're going to need to think about how to structure that HTML to make this happen. If we start at the top, you can see we have this grey line here. That's going to be the defining line between our header section, which includes our navigation elements here, and the next main section that's down here. Remember, our navigation elements are going to be made up of a list, and these are going to be individual list items. And we're going to change how they display so that they're horizontal, either by changing the display property or by floating them to the left. The next part under here in our HTML we're going to define with a new section. All of these different parts here we're actually going to define as sections in our HTML. So that means we're going to have to make extensive use of classes so that we can define each section by a specific name, and then we can style that section in particular in our CSS and not have to worry about affecting the rest of them. So here we're going to have another main section. We'll have probably an H2 heading there, and then an H3 heading underneath, and one big clear image in the middle. That's a relatively straightforward section. Everything is center aligned, a couple of lines of text, and one big image. Then this black part, we'll make a new section tag. Again, we'll have our headings and a secondary image down there as well. Here it's a little bit more complex because we have two columns. So what we're going to do in this part is we're going to create another section which incorporates all of this part here, and we're going to have two div tags in between which we're going to use to create two columns, and we'll set those columns or those div tags to a width of 50% so that they fit evenly in our browser like that. We've also got some slightly different styling going on with our headings. They're a little bit smaller down here. We've got some bold text in the middle there, and our image is in a slightly different place. The next section, again, there aren't clear, distinct columns like in this part here, but if you have a look at how the image and the text is positioned, it's probably going to be easiest to separate these into columns as well. We might even actually have three columns. One column here that's just a blank space, another column here which includes this text. Because you look at it, it takes up about a quarter of the screen, and there's another quarter of the screen there. That way we can have this text center aligned in this div that we'll have here. Then we can have our image on the other side. Next we get down to this section, which again is going to be made up of two columns, and we have some background images and a little hover effect that just changes the overlay on top, and some simple text that's center aligned on top of that. Finally we get down to the footer section. We're going to have lots of different columns here so we can create this effect. They're all going to be nested within another footer, and we've got some smaller text and lots of little details we can add here. We probably won't add all of the ones that we have down the bottom, but we will look at making these columns with these links on them. Okay, so that's a good overview of the website itself. Have a good look through it yourself, think about how you might structure that, and in the next video we'll start on actually creating the code.